All right. Welcome to another episode of Trade Unafraid. Thank you for joining, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be reviewing the Sunday swings pairs and my Sunday breakdown pairs. Not all of these pairs are currently on my watch list. I just put them on here so that I could review them with you, since the market opened up in a pretty wild way on Sunday afternoon. So anything below this USD CHF pair is currently not on my watch list, but it was on the Sunday swings, so I wanted to go over it with you. First of all, we're going to start with USD JPY. We're currently trading above this weekly EMA. We are bullish from this point forward, and we are currently bullish on the weekly. We're retesting this weekly structure point, and if we break the weekly structure point, we may be able to look for some sells, specifically into this EMA or even into this structure point right here. If we zoom into the daily, we can see that price had broken above this weekly kind of structure point. We're retesting it and we are starting to see some choppy movements in the markets. We're trading above the daily EMA and we might be rejecting it to the upside. We were initially looking for a break and retest of the 4-hour area of interest so that our 4-hour and daily would shift bullish in order to look for buys. Unfortunately, we broke above the area of interest, but then broke back below and are now rejecting this daily area of interest. In order to take this trade long, I would like to see price basically do the same thing it has done. We're currently bullish on the 4-hour. If we can break back above this area right here, we could look for the retest of the 4-hour area of interest and this EMA to swoop down and around, pulling price to the upside. If we do not see that and we see price break below this daily area of interest, we will see the 4-hour shift bearish, and then we will have two time frames in sync to take sells if we get a break and retest of this area of interest. Yeah, that's basically it for USD JPY. For the next pair, Euro GBP, we are currently trading under this weekly EMA. We've rejected it multiple times, and every time we reject it, we see strong movements to the downside. Now, one thing I will note is that we do not have a weekly wick on this candle right here. That is very rare to see, especially on the weekly time frame. What we could be seeing is a rejection of this weekly area of interest and a move to the upside. In order to take the buy, we would have to see additional confirmation, because currently our daily is bearish, weekly is bullish, and 4-hour is also bearish. We've had a strong push to the downside into this weekly area of interest, kind of an ugly head and shoulders, retest of the neckline, retest of a bunch of different things. But I'm not currently interested in taking any trades unless we get a lower low, a shift of structure, a retest of the area of interest, and then buy. If that doesn't happen, I'm not interested in any trades, and I'm not interested in any sells either because we have already missed this selling movement. For the next pair, Euro AUD. The weekly time frame is also currently trading above the weekly EMA. We have three weekly areas of interest. It looks a little bit sloppier than all the other charts, but they are pretty strong areas of interest. The top one, especially, where we have had a huge wick in the past. Price has been held down below this area of interest multiple times, and it seems to be doing the same thing now, where price has retested this weekly area of interest, had a push down. We are now wicking into the area of interest and having another push down. For the daily time frame, we are currently bullish. the 4-hour is currently bearish. So in order to take sells, I would like to see the daily shift bearish, have a retest of the area of interest, have the EMA swoop around and push price downwards. That would be the ideal selling situation for this pair. And we can sell into the next weekly area of interest. And that is my breakdown for this current pair. We have a 4-hour area of interest that we are currently rejecting or retesting, whichever one you would want to call it. And a inverted head and shoulders. So we could clearly, we don't want to take any selling positions until we, clearly break this area of interest. Otherwise, we might just reject it and head to the upside. Now on to the next pair which is Euro CHF. Euro CHF is very similar to Euro GBP. They are both trading under the weekly EMA, trading under the weekly EMA and rejecting the EMA more importantly, which means we could see some strong movements to the downside. I am, however, looking for movements to the upside to take buys. That is for two reasons. The first being that we do not have a weekly wick to the upside. It's very rare to see that, like I always say. And even if we don't get a weekly wick, price will usually trade up into the weekly wick area to create some sort of structure in that area before having the actual push to the downside or the continuation. Another thing I will note is that we have a inverted head and shoulders on the daily time frame. An inverted head and shoulders, which we are currently retesting the neckline of, right? It's a little bit ugly, but we do not discriminate. Now, if we get a rejection of this, we could get some nice moves to the upside. I will note that we are also trading above this daily EMA. We were trading below it, we rejected it multiple times to the downside, and then we shifted to the upside and are rejecting it to the top side now. We could easily see this EMA continue to hold price up, and we could see some movements to the upside rejecting this EMA. That is what I am looking for on this pair. The 4-hour is currently bearish. So in order to take this trade, I would like to see the 4-hour do one of two things. You could either wait for price to break above this to shift bullish on the 4-hour and then retest previous structure points, or we could wait for a lower low on the 4-hour and then a higher high and then a higher low. So we get a shift of structure. And then obviously on the daily, we would then be trading above this EMA, above the area of interest, so on and so forth. Now, the last pair that I'm currently looking for or looking at is USD CHF. USD CHF has a very strong and clean weekly area of interest. When we're above it, we're trading upwards. When we're below it, we're trading downwards. What we're seeing right now is very similar to what we have seen in the past, right? We have basically entered the area of interest, rejected it, had a pullback back into the area of interest before having the actual move. We have traded into the area of interest, rejected it, having a pullback into the area of interest before having the actual move. Now, I do not want to predict this because we could easily, with all the news, with all the volatility that we've been seeing, the tariff wars and the actual wars going on in the world, we do not know and we do not want to predict these markets. I would like to see, price kind of close in this area of interest before actually having the push the following week. In order to take this trade, since we currently have 3 time frames bullish, I'd like to see at least 1 or 2 of them shift bearish, preferably 2 of them. So we either get some sort of daily higher low and then higher high and then a shift of structure, or just a full shift of structure to the downside below this daily area of interest, a retest of the daily area of interest, and then a sell. This could be a long-term position where you could hold it into this next weekly structure point, or wait until it starts to reject the EMA. It honestly depends on you. If you're willing to be patient, you could possibly even hold it into these lows. That is to be determined. Okay, now on to the Sunday swings pairs that were discussed yesterday. I'm no longer interested in these pairs the way that they were broken down yesterday. We were supposed to look for buys. Looks like we just created a huge wick to the downside. The 4-hour is having a pullback. It looks like we kind of have a head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour, and we could be retesting it to have more sells to the downside. I'm not interested in sells. We're kind of at the lowest point that price has ever been, and we never made it to any sort of previous structure to reject like this weekly area of interest. We kind of just pushed into the daily EMA and have rejected that. On to the next pair, Euro USD. Euro USD is very similar to AUD USD, the previous pair I just broke down. We have reached an area of interest and have rejected it, but unfortunately, we do not have a top wick for the weekly time frame. I prefer having top wicks because then it shows that price is done retesting to the top side and will now begin to create its move to the downside. Simply because of that and the way that price opened, I am no longer interested in buys on this position. On the daily time frame, it seems we have rejected this daily EMA and will continue to have sells. If we have a pullback into this area, we might look for some sort of entries to then continue going short. As of right now, I am not interested. GBP AUD, we have perfectly retested previous structure. I sadly missed this move and I am still salty about it. We have had no retests. We have had 2 weeks that have not had any weekly wicks. And I do not know if we will have any weekly wicks or any retests of previous structure. I was waiting for price to come into this daily area of interest and retest the EMA, or fully into the weekly area of interest before then heading upwards. We have had neither of those scenarios happen, so at the moment I am not interested in any trades. We could possibly look for sells, but I'm not really excited about those either, because at the moment all 3 of our timeframes are bullish. And in order to take sells, I would like to see at least one of those timeframes shift bearish, and that would happen at this area of interest or previous structure. There's not really an area of interest here, or maybe there is. So yeah, if you want to be risky, you can take sells, but at this point, at that point, you might as well just wait for the actual move to happen and trade with the trend, which would be the ideal scenario. GBP NZD is very similar to GBP AUD, literally basically identical. On the weekly time frame, we have also retested and rejected weekly structure, daily structure. We do not have any weekly wick on this pair, and I do not think we have weekly wick on we have a very tiny weekly wick for this current week, but the previous week did not have a single wick at all. I was waiting for price to kind of retest these overlapping areas of interest and the EMA before having the move to the upside. And once again, price just opened on Monday and took off without us. It may take me a while to get over the feeling of missing out on this pair, because last week on Friday or on Thursday, on Friday, I was looking to enter, but I usually don't trade on Fridays, and therefore I was hoping for a nice little retracement to then buy, which never happened. And last but not least, we have NZD USD. Very similar to AUD USD and Euro USD. We have retested no previous structure. We're in the middle of nowhere. We are at the lowest low at the moment. We have kind of rejected this EMA to the downside, the daily EMA. We were looking to take buys off of this area of interest, but price just opened and tanked, which completely shifted our bias on this pair. We have a lower low on the 4-hour, and in order to take buys, we would have to have a lower low, higher low, and then a higher low, lower low, higher high, higher low, and that would create our shift of structure to then buy. The ideal scenario would be shift of structure, buy off of this daily area of interest. That will not happen anytime soon, I believe, so we might as well just be patient and focus on pairs that have a higher possibility of playing out. That kind of wraps everything up. In terms of trading this week and the following weeks, I'd be very careful because of, like I said, the tariffs going on. We do not know. We cannot predict what these politicians will do or say. So, turn your risk tolerance off and risk less than you would normally. Preserve your capital for, the future and better opportunities to come. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next market update. Thanks for watching.